I'm assuming about 15% of Republican voters might believe that we could be under military control. And maybe there could be more people that might believe that if they were looking at some of the folks out there that are pitching that we are under military control, which it never really seems to be enough evidence, I guess, by the optics. But I have to imagine that something like military control is well thought out, and there's a good chance you probably never would see the optics of it. So I'm not someone here that can tell you whether we are or we aren't. I don't have any inside information. I'm not getting any under military rule. I guess I have to just ask myself a few things. Number one, Joe Biden never really seemed to field any questions with regards to the military and what they're doing in D.C. And number two, have never seen this during a transfer of power. And so if there's a transfer of power, why would the military be in the middle of that type of transfer of power? I mean, if Congress feels like they need some protection, I think the National Guard, a couple hundred National Guard would have been fine. I can't imagine why it would be 5,000 worth of military and Patriot missiles coming into D.C. So that's something to think about. I also want to talk about the guarantee clause you don't hear many people talking about. It's in the Constitution, and the guarantee clause requires the United States to guarantee to the states a republican form of government and provide protection from foreign invasion and domestic violence. Although rarely formally invoked by Congress, the president, or the courts, there is some consensus on what it means. At its core, the guarantee clause provides for majority rule. A republican government is one in which the people govern through elections. This is the constant refrain of the Federalist Papers. Alexander Hamilton, for example, put it this way: the Federalist number 57, the election mode of obtaining rulers is the characteristic policy of the Republican government. Thus, the guarantee clause imposes limitations on the types of government a state may have. The clause requires the United States to prevent any state from imposing rule by monarchy, dictatorship, aristocracy, or permanent military rule, even through majority vote. Instead, governing by electoral processes is constitutionally required. So, if the military has any idea that our elections were stolen, if they were doing the right thing and they're actually really protecting the Constitution the way they talked about it when the Joint Chiefs of Staff got up there during the transition of government, if they really are protecting the Constitution and it's not about a person, I would think that the Constitution deserves to be protected, even if there's an idea that the Constitution was broken through election fraud, through international invasion, cyber attacks on elections, domestic actors acting in correlation with anyone international. So that, and from at a formal standpoint, if the Constitution is really being followed, then one would have to assume that we are under military control. But as far as I could see, that still remains to be seen. Anyway, have a great one today.